This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska. Boom, and we're back here in the Hunt Nebraska cabin for another hangout, folks. We are pumped up. Season is upon us, and we're not talking just those early season things. You know, squirrel season opens pretty darn early, August 1st, to be quite honest with you. But the glorious 1st of September, when real season started opening up, is just hours away as we record this. And you'll probably listen to it just after it. So hopefully you've had a great start to your either archer deer season, prairie grouse season, dove season, whatever you might have gotten out to be able to do. We appreciate you joining us today and taking us along for the ride or into your office, home, wherever you might be listening to us. We appreciate that. I'm sure you give us a big thumbs up and subscribe so you know each and every episode that we put out there when it drops. Real quick, around the room, we've got Kayla McKay back in studio behind Mission Control here now with Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever. How are you doing, Kayla?
Doing great. It's great to be back in the studio.
Yeah, and you've been busy with a lot of different things. We might have some time to talk about next steps and some of the other youth things going on there at Pheasants Forever. Welcome back. You've got Michael right here, our good friend from the National Wild Turkey Federation, R3 coordinator for hunting and shooting sports here in the state of Nebraska. You got me, Hershey, and then hopefully we'll bring him up here right now. The man that is out and about across the state. Hunter education is ramping up, to say the least, but we've got the coordinator for that program, Hunter Nikolai. How you doing, Hunter?
I'm doing good. I'm sitting in a nice, comfy chair. We might have to rethink the studio chairs.
I was going to say, you're kind of bobbing back and forth. I can tell it must be pretty comfortable. You don't see us doing that at all.
No, our chairs do not have that much support to them.
I'm going to say I'm not even touching.
If you had one of these, we just see us spinning around all the podcast, so maybe it's a bad idea.
We opted for style over comfort. Got a nice camo pattern on those. So
we thought, and Kayla, you saw as you walked in that we made predictions for the local university football team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers,
and of course we're gonna win.
Well, yeah, they kick off their first game August 31st. A lot of this we probably will already have taken place by the time we get this edited and put out there for everybody. So we've got a win-loss record already for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Michael. But every year I kind of push people in that first season because I love college football. I really do. And we've got a wide variety of football fans in here. We do have some Husker fans here in the studio someplace. We've also got Wisconsin Badger fans. We've got Iowa State Cyclone fans. We've got Northwest Missouri Polecats. What are they?
So the school I went to for Division II was Northwest Missouri State. But
okay.
Bearcats, the Bearcats. But if we're talking about Division I football, it's Missouri Tigers.
Okay, all right. So we've got all sorts of different outlooks on here. But each year I push folks because the Husker hype wagon is usually going pretty strong. Though there's a recent tight end video that has come out, Hunter. I don't know if you've seen that on Twitter or posted online yet. That's probably getting Nebraska football faithful something they don't want to see. A little thing to step back from. But anyhow, we made a win-loss record for not only the season but also the first game. We'll see how that all turns out. We'll find out, maybe post that at the end of who actually picked the closest score there. But we decided, because we're just hours away from the glorious 1st of September and all the things that follow, opening days for rifle deer season in November, the muzzleloader season, upland bird season, waterfowl seasons, teal season, all that good stuff, why not come up with some good hunting predictions for the upcoming hunting season? And you know it's official, folks, because I've got the official clipboard right here that I've got mine on and maybe make some notes here because we're going to review this at the end of the season as well. We'll have to all get together and see who had the best predictions out of this. So, and I've also got the National Bowhunter Education Foundation pin, so you know this is official. So this is the hunting preseason season predictions, and I know, Hunter, we only have you for a short time because you're going to be pulled off to other things right off the bat. Now, folks, these might be personal predictions for how our hunting seasons are going to go, or they might be broad statewide predictions. So I'm going to let you go first, Hunter, because I know your time's a little bit shorter than ours.
Yeah, I'll throw my first prediction out there, and this one was it's a goal and a prediction, but I am predicting that my wife Tammy will shoot her first game animal this fall. Um, she's got her hunter education and bow hunter education completed. She's come along on turkey hunts, on deer hunts with me, and now I'm predicting she's going to take that next step and take an opportunity to get out and actually do some hunting with me herself. So
That's very exciting.
That it is. And you said game animal. Do game birds, just for clarification for, if it comes down,
yes.
if she shoots a turkey or a pheasant or something, I'd hate you to miss out on that prediction just because you said game animal.
Yep, birds count.
Birds count.
Migratory and non-migratory.
Anything with a season. We're not counting coyotes.
Has she expressed, an interest in one type of critter more than any other?
She has. She wants to hunt turkeys, so we'll see if we can get her out.
Atta girl.
During the shorter fall turkey season this year, and get her first bird that she can telecheck under the new telecheck system. So.
Oh, nice. I got to say, I have seen some young turkeys out there. I was messing with some tree stands just a day or so ago, and a big flock of birds of the year and a couple of mama hens out there. So that bodes pretty well. That'll be fun, though. A lot of memories made there with your first whatever it is, first deer, first duck, first pheasant, first squirrel, whatever. That's pretty cool. What was your first critter, game animal that you took?
I think it was a squirrel. I'm trying to. It's either a squirrel or a deer, and I know there's a big difference there, but one of the two.
And you just blew my thought completely out of the water there, Hunter. mine was a squirrel. You never forget your first one, folks, and except for Hunter, he can't remember
Squirrel, deer,
white tail or bushy tail. If it was a 22 or
at least we know
shotgun.
it was likely brown. We know that much.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good. All right, that'd be an awesome one. That's the first are always fun. So, Michael, we'll go to you next. What's one of your predictions?
So I'm going to go more with a statewide prediction for my first one. I'm going to say that for our Tier 2 duck harvest system, our registrations will surpass 3,500 hunters this year.
Ooh. Now explain Tier 2 again to our listeners.
So we've mentioned it a few times here on the podcast, but for those that haven't heard before, the Tier 2 is a harvest experiment that Nebraska Game and Parks and South Dakota are jointly working on together. And basically it alters the harvest rules a little bit, adds a second tier to where you can harvest 3 ducks with no species or sex restrictions.
Just 3 ducks.
Just 3 ducks.
Yep.
You see a duck, shoot a duck, up to 3.
Yep, and you got to make sure, folks, that they are a duck. There's some idea still in there. So
don't shoot a dove and try to claim it.
Which is really interesting. The first year we broke the record. We thought 500 folks might take part in this, and we were close to oh my goodness, what, 2,600 or somewhere in there.
I think it was a little more than that. It was around 3,000, I thought.
And then last year, even with the big drought we had going on, Kayla, which zapped a lot of water, a lot of opportunities for folks, we actually increased the number of Tier 2. So that one would be a fun one to watch. A lot of states are watching that. Obviously, South Dakota, Nebraska, that's a pretty cool project we're working on. So that'll be fun.
I anticipate I'll be one of those hunters contributing to that limit, so we'll see.
Now, Hunter, did you write down your predictions? Do you have them on a piece of paper there in front of you?
I do not. They're in my head.
Oh, wow. See, Kayla's going the same route. Michael and I wrote them down so we wouldn't forget them. But you two you're playing loose and free on this one. So I was going to say, we're going to go to Kayla now before she forgets them.
I got a steel trap. I won't forget them. So I guess I will go with pheasant population estimates, my estimates, being with Pheasants Forever, Quail Forever.
Oh,
I kind of have to take
okay.
a stand there on that one. I think it will be a good hunting year for pheasant and quail this year. It was a little rough later this summer, but we had a lot of water come through. And from what we got from our mail carrier routes this spring, numbers were up. So I have good faith that hunting's going to be good this year.
All right.
All right. Well, you might have knocked one of mine out here. I was going to talk about that. Was number 2. I'll come back to
Well,
that. But
inside knowledge there.
that's one of those things that it's just kind of different, isn't it? I mean, to have a good deer season or a great deer season can all depend on one critter, just one animal. If it's the right one you've been looking at and it steps out into one of your shooting lanes and you connect, that's all you need. Bird hunting, on the other hand, especially, there's different ways to measure it. How far you walk, what you see when you're walking there, what you expect. And we've, our numbers haven't been great. They haven't been in the golden days, but the golden days, oh my goodness, they just glowed, knowing how easy we had it back then and how fortunate and blessed we were. So it kind of depends on where you came in that spectrum. If you get to hunt the golden days, you kind of use that as a mark, a high water mark. And we do that in all sports. This is the high water mark. I'm going to measure everything against it, which is probably not fair. But that's a good one. I've got more on that one coming up here in just a bit. I'm going to go with my first one. Back to Michael. I think for the waterfowl hunters, this is actually on number 3 on my. Oh, that's 4. Actually 4. I came up with 5.
4. Wow,
extra credit on this one. Yeah, I was going to say, waterfowl hunters will have a near record year in some spots. Now it's going to be spotty. But I think we've got parts of the state, folks, that have water. If you search it out, those birds migrating through Nebraska are going to be looking for those because it's dry, a little bit north of here, but definitely south of here. So when you find the water, you're going to find some birds. But I think the rains are going to come. I think we're on the verge of getting out of some of this bigger drought. It's going to take quite a bit to fill some of those basins and lakes and ponds where a lot of folks spend time chasing the webbed foot critters that migrate through here. But I think that with patience, and if we get those rains, there's going to be some great vegetation that's going to get flooded, and those birds are just going to drop in there. So I'm going to go with that, which then would mean you got more people wanting to go chasing them, and more people getting their harvest information or HIP number and giving the option of getting that tier 2 thing going on there as well.
Working together here with our predictions.
But I'm always an optimist, and to be a waterfowl hunter, folks, you complain a lot, Kayla, but you have to be an optimist because even if you didn't do well the day before, a lot of us go back to the same spot the next day in hopes that it's completely different.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it happens. So, all right, Hunter, number 2.
I hope you're right with that one, Hershey. Yeah, number 2 here, I am going to predict we're going to see more youth deer hunters and more youth hunters in general out for these fall hunting seasons than we did last year. With the stocking of pheasants again this year for the youth seasons. And I think just with the general outlook on folks wanting to get out hunting and get outside, I think we're going to see an increase in those youth deer permits out there on the landscape this year, and those adults and parents and grandparents passing on their traditions to youth.
All right, that makes Michael smile.
I like that one.
Hunting R3 coordinator for the state. More youth hunters out there. That's always a fun one.
That's a good one.
That is. We're going to watch that. We'll have to get numbers. Nice things, folks, is we can make some statements. We don't know the numbers that we had last year. Hunter and Michael probably do off the top of their head, but I don't, Kayla.
Me neither.
So that'd be a good one. All right, Kayla, we're coming back to you now.
All right. My prediction for this year is I'm going to learn a lot about hunting independently. So previous years, I've gone out with my 2 friends. They're huge hunters, but they recently moved to Iowa. She's going to a vet program there. So it's just me, myself, and I, and occasionally my husband. So I'm going to learn how to hunt on my own a lot more.
Who are you forgetting? Mm-hmm. You're forgetting somebody.
Well, he's always with me, but he isn't
I'm not talking
shot.
Your husband. I'm talking somebody else.
Jaeger.
There you go.
But he's not a very good shot.
You got to use his name because it makes it odd that you might go hunting with your husband, but this other guy's always there and all that stuff. So, all
True.
right.
Yes, Jaeger, my dog. He's always there. He's always there hunting with me.
Somebody's got to fetch the birds.
Yes, very true. He enjoys it too.
That's a good one. And Hunter and Michael, I mean, what's the national tradition when you start losing people to hunt with? What usually happens to your hunting activity?
Typically, we see a lot of folks just quit.
Yeah, which is never a good option, is it, Hunter?
Not at all. Quit or hunt less or stop hunting that species. I think a lot of that is species dependent too. If you got a buddy that you hunt, your traditions are usually aligned with the species, and if you lose those, man, you're probably going to fall off unless you can find somebody else to do it with. But we see more of the independent hunters here in the last several years. So certainly doable.
That is, and we're actually bringing some light to it. I mean, our last podcast, folks, if you caught that, our High Prairie Sportsman chat with Matt
Zavlonic.
Great example. People self-filming and showing themselves out, being successful by themselves and having a good time. I think that does not hurt that as well. And the cool thing about upland bird hunting or hunting with a dog, waterfowl, whatever it is, it's like you said, you're never really alone. You get to see that action quite a bit. Because Jaeger's how old now?
He's 3. He's in his prime.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Got the energy, got more of the know-how, and ready to hit it hard.
Roll.
There you go. All right, Michael, your turn.
I guess for my next prediction, I'm going to say that my first harvest in Nebraska, because I have not yet harvested anything in Nebraska, will be a fall turkey, specifically a tom.
Another turkey. A tom. You're not.
A tom. I'm not. I'm gonna.
That's
it's
really
gonna be a tom.
specific.
I'm not gonna be picky. If I do see a hen or a jake, I'll go ahead and take it because of course any bird is legal here in the fall. But I'm going to call my shot now. That'll first bird I'll see and be able to harvest will be a tom.
Now, season for fall turkey, October 1st through the entire month of October and to the end of November this year. It's been reduced a little bit. So does that mean that you might not be out chasing squirrels or prairie grouse or archery deer or dove in the next several days and weeks?
Well, I've never hunted dove. I've never been much into squirrel hunting. I've never hunted grouse, and I don't have a bow to hunt deer with. So I'd say so.
Well, only if you knew anybody that had access to any of those types of things.
Well, I do know some people that have access to those types of things, and the dove hunting and whatnot wouldn't be too hard. But I feel the bow hunting, I'd probably need a little more practice first before I.
Well, practice with Kayla. I've seen her shoot, and she knows how to shoot a bow.
It's true.
And arrow. So yeah. All right, that's that. I like that. That is super specific. A fall tom turkey first harvest in the state of Nebraska, which is always exciting to check off another. Whether I've lived there or visited there, that checking off I've harvested something in that state's kind of cool because you get to talk about it.
Well, that's the cool thing about
some stories.
The Nebraska fall season for me, it's twice as long as the Missouri fall season. The Missouri fall season's only for shotgun is only during October, the month of October. Now during archery deer season, it's also archery turkey season down there, so you can harvest them with a bow from the middle of September to the end of January. But up here, I'll have a whole nother month with a chance to get it done.
Yep.
So, and I do enjoy going fall turkey hunting quite a bit. I try to get out there several days during the season, so I'll have even more days to try and get it done.
Hunter, what was your first Nebraska harvest? Now, since you don't remember your first harvest ever, what was your first Nebraska harvest?
Rabbit was my first Nebraska harvest.
Kayla? It'd be one and the same for you being the Nebraska native on the podcast today.
Yes, mine was a deer.
A deer?
Yes.
Do I have a picture of that deer? Your dad sent me pictures of some of your early successes.
You might. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll have to take a peek at that. Mine was a dove. I made sure we didn't have dove season or dove hunting opportunities where I was prior to moving to Nebraska, so I made sure I was out there September 1st. And I would like to brag just a little bit, Kayla, that my first harvest was followed quickly by my second harvest because I actually doubled up on doves.
Wow.
Now, I'd been warned, but I never really paid much attention, Hunter, to how hard it is to locate doves once they're down, even in bare ground. It just, they blend in and you look and you look and you look. And, in the sky, I mean, there's a dove. That's right there in front of you. But on the ground, they're not very big. So I don't know how many other doves I didn't get to shoot as I found both of those birds. But that was some of the best. And I have missed a whole bunch more. I don't think I've doubled on doves since out there. All right, my turn. So this is one I'm going to stick with the waterfowl. Should have added this one last time, Hunter, so that I could have knocked out 2 in one shot. But I will hunt, and hopefully that means harvest, Kayla, more Canada geese this season, including my first banded waterfowl in the state of Nebraska. I have not. I've got some Canada goose bands. I've got a couple of duck bands, but I have not harvested any waterfowl that's been banded here in the state of Nebraska. And by that, I mean not banded here, but harvested a bird that had a band on it. while I was hunting Nebraska. So I'm hoping that's going to happen now. For folks that have listened to some of our other media outlets, including Outdoor Nebraska, Nebraska Outdoors, our Canada geese in parts of the state, because of the drought, didn't have the world's best nesting success this season. Spit that out in the right order. So we might be dealing with a little bit older bird out there when it comes to Canada goose.
Older, and they know what they're doing.
Which makes it just that much more challenging. Unfortunately, as you guys have heard, and I think I've talked about it on here, my 2 bird dogs, and I just lost one, so I'm down to 1 bird dog now. Older. I mean, the youngest between the 2 of them was 13 or is 13 years old. The one we just lost was just days away from turning 15. Their hunting days were kind of behind him, so I probably not, pup's probably not happening real soon, and even if it did, not going to be much help this upland bird hunting season, perhaps. So I'm going to have to rely on people like Jaeger and Kayla and some others for chasing, because it's hard to go pheasant hunting or quail hunting or even chasing grouse without a dog. That's just not in my makeup. So I'll be looking for something more to do, and I'm hoping that's Canada geese, because I just love watching Canada geese. So that's my prediction for me. All right, Hunter, I know your time is short and you're going to get called off to other places to fling some arrows today or shoot some other targets. Give us another prediction.
All right, this is another personal one, and I've hunted deer for 14 years now and shot more deer than I can count, but I've never shot a deer with a rifle, and I predict that I will shoot my first deer with a rifle this season here in the great state of Nebraska. Also would be my first Nebraska deer, so I guess it's a double prediction.
Oh, there you go. I like that. Now, what does the crystal ball say? Is it going to be during the early private landowner season,
No.
or the November firearm or muzzleloader? I guess you can't use the high power rifle. That would be, unless you're going muzzleloader.
It's going to be the November firearm season. I've got time on the calendar committed to that season already, and I'm gearing up for it. So I think it'll be during that 9-day season, and it not going to make any further predictions on what it is, because that's a lot of unknown, but it's going to be a white-tailed deer. Be what?
Gotcha. That does
we'll narrow
explain,
it down.
folks, while he's got a lot of sick days already written in on the calendar during that part of November.
Just can feel it coming on already.
Now, I didn't grow up around rifle deer hunting. And Hunter, I know where you grew up and spent a lot of time, it was shotgun only, correct?
Yep.
So what is your impression of rifle? Because to me, I always thought the way high-powered rifles are sold to me is that, all you had to do is pull the trigger and it just fell over. I mean, if it was already deboned and packaged, that meant you hit it in the right spot. But I just thought you actually have to aim those things. I mean,
yeah. And I think my biggest thing is, obviously getting out and practicing with the rifle at longer distances, but everything to me with, hunting shotguns with a slug or even a rifle barrel slug, most of my shots I'm taking are within, 60, 70 yards my whole life hunting deer. And now it's getting to the mindset that you've got a rifle with a magnified scope that you could shoot, up to your potential, a couple hundred yards, whatever you're comfortable with, but you've got a lot longer range. And that's the biggest hurdle to me is, doing that and seeing that out on the field. So,
yeah, well, once you get to know what 42 inches of bear looks like at 20, 30 yards, I got to assume it'll be easy training you what a deer looks like at 100 or 150 or something along those lines. But it is, you're right. It's pretty darn close when you're using shotguns. Other than, like you said, there's been a lot of technology advances in that. So, all right, moving on. Michael, have you got a third? I see it right in front
I
of you.
do have a third. For my third goal, which I actually wrote down second on the paper, but I will harvest a pheasant this year. That is my prediction. I will harvest a pheasant, whether I just go out there and trudge around in the field and spook one up, or I actually get to go hunting with somebody who's got a dog and everything. And yeah, if I go hunting with Kayla, I am bound and determined that at some point this year I will harvest a pheasant. So that is one thing I do want to do for my first season in Nebraska, because I've never had a good opportunity before to go pheasant and quail hunting.
You will see pheasants. You hit the right spots. That goes right in with my prediction. I'm going to piggyback this
There
one
you
here.
go.
I think upland bird hunters will be pleasantly surprised, Kayla, because you already kind of stole my thunder there. This year, I think there's some pockets of pheasants thanks to some of the rain that we've got, some of the habitat we had even going into this season. And I've heard a lot of our farmers and some ranch friends saying they're seeing a few more than they expected. But even beyond that, folks, we've had a couple people said they're almost shocked at how many quail they still hear and see around their place. It's not going to be statewide. I mean, these, like all wildlife, they are a product of their habitat. And we're right now aren't blessed with wall-to-wall pheasant and quail habitat here in the state of Nebraska, obviously. But those spots that had it and hit things right, had a good nesting season and overwintered well, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised in some of those venues. So that's some good news for you. Plus, you know someone here on the podcast that might be looking to get out a little bit more and has a dog.
That is a big upside.
And a bird dog that hunts, because I know there's some other dogs in here that might not be pheasant dogs right off the, we think of them.
Any dog can be a pheasant dog.
I don't know. I think I have a dog that could not be a pheasant dog. She does not have the patience for it. But
I think Kayla could train any dog to be a pheasant dog, but I don't think it just happens naturally, to be quite honest with you.
No, probably not.
So,
No, probably not.
So, all right, Kayla, your turn.
So also picking back on Michael's is I hope to get more adult hunters out upland hunting this year than I did last year.
Well, looks like I've
There's
got
one.
a place to hunt.
Start with one.
Yes, so last year we had our ladies upland hunt at Oak Creek, which is near Brainerd, Nebraska. We had 9 ladies out to hunt there. So our application period is open again. So if any ladies are interested, it will be near the Beatrice area this year. We're going to have probably around that 10 ladies again. But I have a group of ladies who is very interested in getting out hunting, as well as Michael now and anyone else who wants to join. But I'm hoping to get a lot more friends to add to my friend group that we can get out hunting together.
Oh, that's awesome. And Michael and Hunter, you guys can kind of talk to this as well. We've seen an increase in people that decide as an adult, I want to try hunting for the first time.
Yeah, there's been a lot more folks, and it kind of started, back in 2020, and a lot of them fell off, but some have stuck with it that, I want to get out and hunt more, whether it's the motivation is, locally sourced food or, recreation, or they make some new friends that are into hunting, whatever the motivation is. We've seen a lot more people get into hunting as adult. We call those maybe adult onset hunters is usually what we refer to them as. And, just because you didn't grow up hunting doesn't mean you can't pick it up later in life. There's a lot of folks that do.
Definitely.
Have we not come up with a better term than adult onset hunter yet? Hunter. I mean, usually when you use the word onset, it doesn't have a favorable meaning.
That's true. It doesn't.
The onset of my hunting career. No, I mean, just they look at themselves as new hunters just like anyone else, but they'll also typically need support if they don't have family or friends that do it. And, events like Kayla's talking about, or that Pheasants Forever and Game and Parks are putting on, or which we talked about, learnhunting.org, where you can connect with one of our hunter ed instructors and learn the ropes from them too. So we've got some options for you if you're listening into the podcast today and you're interested in hunting, or you're a new hunter that's an adult that wants to learn. We've got ways to connect there at learnhunting.org.
And those are wonderful things, and I love hearing that prediction there, Kayla, because like you said, it's one of those things that it's not just taking somebody out, but oftentimes you think of your hunting buddies. I mean, those are the folks that you really come to rely on and get to know and all that type of stuff. So that is darn cool. All right, Hunter, you've got any more? And since they're not written down, you probably do.
Yeah, I think we're going to have, and this is more weather related, I think we're going to have some good late season pheasant hunting opportunities this year as well. I think with some of the snowfall that's forecasted and potentially some better hunting conditions for upland birds. So.
Oh, there you go. I love the late season, to be quite honest with you, because all this excitement, it almost wears you out of all this opening day and that opening day. But as you get later in the season, you get some more time just to, for my purposes, why I hunt just relax, just to sit back and just the pressure's not there near as much. And I just can kind of enjoy it some a little. Not that I don't enjoy the opening days and the early season and all that type of stuff, because I've been asked many times, Aaron, why do you always go opening day of pheasant hunting? Why do you always go bird hunting? And my answer is, well, I'm a bird hunter. And if they opened it a day earlier, I'd go then. Or if they opened a day later, I'd go then too. But it's just part of it. It's just nice and calm. Now, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with the same. You made a weather prediction there just a little bit with the increased snowfall, which would be fine by me, at least now as we're sitting in warmth of August. But I do think, this is what I wrote down last, Hunter, is I think we'll still be complaining about the heat into October. Now, it's not going to be 100 degrees. It's probably not even be 90s, but October is supposed to be one of those beautiful golden fall months where, you wake up, it's a little chilly, or if you're watching a football game on a Friday night, you're putting a hoodie on as the sun sets. I think we're going to have some warm temperatures into not only through September, but into October as well. I hope it changes by the time we get to November and maybe even Halloween or slightly before, because I like those cool days. But I think we're going to be complaining about the weather just a little bit. Well, let me step back. We'll be complaining about the heat, because it's Nebraska. We always complain about the weather, right? It's too cold, too hot, too dry, too wet, too sunny, too cloudy, too whatever. That's just part of the conversation that we've been taught to have. So, all right, who's next? Who's got any more left? Kayla, you got some?
That's all I got, but I can make a weather prediction.
Okay, make a weather prediction.
I think the weather is going to be great until December, and then I think we're going to get a lot of snow in December and January.
Too much snow.
Too much snow.
Too much snow.
Yes.
All right. Mike, I might as well make this the 4 in a row here for weather. What's your weather prediction?
I think we're going to have a mild winter full of great hunting.
Mild.
I have no idea. I do not pretend to be a meteorologist, but I'm going to be positive.
I'm going to say we got to be careful. We're going to lose Michael to the
chance.
Department tourism there. So, all right, I've got one here. You guys, this is my only one on deer hunting, and we are a deer hunting state. I think, and I don't know the numbers from this last year. So this will be an easy one that I can fudge later on in editing. The age of our whitetail bucks harvested this fall will increase just a bit. Not huge, not like a year and a half jump or anything like that, but I think we keep track of adult deer and male to female and all that stuff, as folks know. And Luke Meduna, our big game program manager, has all that data, and oftentimes we put it in the guide or online someplace. But I think we're going to see a little uptick. I think we've kind of seen it growing stagnant and maybe down a little bit in recent years, not significantly, but I think we're going to see it go back up. I don't know why I think that. I'm just making that prediction right now.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say the opposite, because I'm going to go off a hunter's prediction that we're going to have more youth hunters out this year. And youth hunters typically, if they see a younger buck, they don't care how old the deer is. They just want to shoot the deer. So I think there's going to be more youth hunters out, and they're going to be taking younger deer.
So you're disagreeing with my statement.
I'm going to disagree with you, Hershey.
I'm writing that down right now, Kayla. And you can, folks watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm writing this down. Michael is wrong. So
we'll revisit this in a few months.
This will be fun. All right, we are 30 minutes in, and I know we're going to lose some folks here soon. Hunter, do you have any more predictions?
I predict it's going to be a good hunting season.
Amen.
That's my last prediction.
All right.
So however you define good.
You going to get Frosty out this year for his first hunt?
I don't know. We'll see. He might hop up in a heated blind with me or something like that at some point for a few minutes or so.
That'd be
Test
awesome.
his patience.
Get some pictures. Well, if you're taking Mom, you might as well take. Someone's going to have to stay with Frosty, so he might be.
That's true.
Right beside
You're either
both
taking him or Tammy's going out on her own.
Yeah. Yeah. You might have another person to take pheasant hunting if Tammy loses Hunter and Frosty in the whole
She's
hunting
more than
season.
welcome.
So, all right, I think we've covered all of mine here. Goose hunting, heat, waterfowlers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a pretty good list of predictions. To be quite honest, and folks, like I said, well, let's revisit these at the end of the season or partway through season and see how we're doing. We've got a lot of weather ones here. We've got the entire spectrum of what could be the Nebraska fall/winter hunting season.
Someone's bound to be right. At least one of us.
I would think so, but leave it to the weather that we have a hurricane or something like that none of us predicted at the end of October. But
no one can predict a hurricane in Nebraska, so that'd be a first.
Well, I know, like I said,
we get deratios, and those are close enough. So.
Amen. Amen. And the one thing that I'm just going to toss out to all of our listeners is regardless of what happens, these hunting seasons are always memorable. Rarely do you ever get at the end of one, it's like, that's exactly how I thought it would play out. And that's part of the fun. You just don't know what's going to walk out or fly up in front of you or how things are going to unfold. And part of it, you talked about the counts up and down. What is the population doing for this bird, that critter, whatever it might be. And for some, it's going to be their best hunting season ever, regardless. Maybe it's their first. So it's going to, just the memories they make there. Maybe they've been doing it for several decades. You just never know when the best is going to happen. It doesn't have to take a huge population of anything to make the best ever day or best ever hunt out there. And if you're a deer hunter, you hunt deer. To worry about that type of stuff is just kind of extraneous. So I think we're going to put a ribbon on that one right there, folks. Appreciate you guys all taking part in this prediction hangout that we did. We'll see how we did, but in the meantime, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe. If you got questions or predictions of your own, make sure you get those in the comment section. But until next time, Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.